But anyway, welcome to Analog Stick, a ambiguously retro video game podcast at this point. We're back. We took basically a 1-year break, like an anime time skip almost.
Yeah, when was our last episode posted?
Kingdom Hearts was like the last real episode.
Yeah, and did we have that recorded slightly in advance?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Did.
So we haven't sat down to actually record something in...
Probably a year.
A long time. When is this
like
episode going up? Is it going up whenever?
You know, I'm not positive.
Okay. We're a little rusty.
A little rusty. It's so funny whenever I go to like the Analog Stick account and I see the liked videos, and it's like me if I was just accidentally signed in, like just watching shit.
Just your own stuff.
Yeah, but Kingdom Hearts came out March.
Oh, okay. And today is March 1st.
Yep.
The 1st of March.
And Beach episode followed, and then our just kind of generic...
Our breakup episode.
Hey, we're going to take a break here. Yeah, breakup episode.
Yeah.
A month later. So, what was that? March, April, May? So, It's kind of like a year-ish. I'm not sure when this episode is gonna go up.
Yeah.
Probably just when it's ready. But I'm not probably gonna edit it that much. It's also not gonna be 5 hours long. So, but yeah, just we wanted to pick up the podcast again, and I wanted to do just a no topic episode to just get it started again. Mm-hmm. We can talk about like what we did on break. We can talk about like sort of the scope of the show. We kind of talked about it at like the breakup episode. Like we kind of want to change the scope stuff, not just focus solely on the PS2. And that's pretty much where we stand still. Kind of want to broaden the scope out to include things older or slightly newer, but not too new. We want to stick to like things that can be considered old.
We can't risk being relevant.
No, yeah. And because like I want everything to fall under like a retrospective category. Yeah. Where it's like, we're talking about things that have kind of the conversation around them has mostly concluded.
And they're not like live service, like it's not anything ongoing.
Yeah. That would be kind of difficult. It'd be cool to be like, oh, you know, like the idea of like a retrospective on like the Battlefield 3 online multiplayer. But that's like kind of inherently difficult to do. So can't really do that. I mean, Morgan, how have you been this past year? Any big events? Did you get married again? Did you buy a house again?
Yeah, I got divorced. No. Could you imagine? Yeah, I got divorced, filed for bankruptcy. My house is gone.
I'm recording this from a cardboard box.
Yeah. I'm out back behind the Taco Bell dumpster.
Yeah. I lost everything except my PC and this microphone.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Yeah, it's been a year. A year has passed, and that year has existed. It's been a year. I would say I feel neutral.
Yeah.
On it.
Neutral.
I guess. I don't know. What is the passage of time anymore?
I don't really know. I feel like I've been in like a training arc this past year.
Training for what?
I mean, it's just like, you know, I'm just grinding every day.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I'm making money. I'm just, we finally, I mentioned this on one episode that I was like trying to pay off all my debts. I did pay off all my debts.
Hell yeah,
Let's
brother.
Go, bitches. Hell yeah, brother. And we're just currently renting a place right now. Rent is pretty cheap. So we're just saving for a house, saving up for the most debt I've ever been in.
Right.
The most debt I will ever be in, maybe.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that's the thing. So what I've noticed, I was actually just thinking about this earlier today, is that like buying a house, when you think about how much you're going into debt, the psychological weight is kind of immense. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it is.
In the second you like move in and get settled, it's like the psychological weight just kind of like, at least for me, it just kind of disappeared because it's like, well, I mean, I live here. So it's like you're, you know, you're paying rent still, but it's like towards something that you actually own.
And you like own, by building equity, it's like you own a percentage every time. It's not like, it's not like you get it at the very end. or something. It's not like until you pay off the house, you don't own the house. I mean, it is, but like you own part of it.
Yeah.
Like if you go to sell it, it's like you get however much you put into it. But
right.
Yeah, I don't know. We've like had a lot of fun. Personal finance has become my new fucking hobby for some reason. I mean, not for some reason. It's just like I researched like everything that I buy to such a degree, like relative to how much I'm about to spend. So it would make sense that I'm like spending like multiple years thinking about buying a house and what the proper way to do it is. So it is character consistent. But yeah, we've been just like running calculations on like, you know, how much we can save each month and then like how long it would take to get a down payment and then what that down payment would do. I really want to do a 15-year mortgage, partially because of interest rates, but partially because like 15 years is like actually comprehensible to me, whereas 30 years is just like, that is fucking wild to me to be like, I'm not even 30 yet. It's like more than my whole life.
Right. Well, I mean, so just because you take out a 30-year mortgage doesn't mean, well, I guess it depends on the contract, but like just because it's 30 years doesn't mean you can't pay it off sooner.
Right.
Like some advice that I heard was like, take out or take the 30 years, but pay it as if you're paying the 15.
I've heard that a lot, and I'm trying to figure out how I actually feel about it.
Yeah.
Because there's obviously a benefit with the 15-year in that it's a lower interest rate, but it's you know, maybe like a percentage right now. It depends. I'm just working off of like what Zillow and like real estate or like realtor.com give me as like an estimated interest rate.
Right. Based
on whatever. I don't really know what the interest rate is based on. But yeah. It's gone up and down. It's like at 6-ish%. This is the PlayStation 2 podcast, everybody.
Well, not even the PlayStation 2.
Even. This is a video game, retro video game podcast. But yeah, that's just, I don't know. That's been my life. I've honestly, speaking of, to move away from this and kind of talk about things we've done or not done, I've kind of taken like a really long break from video games. Like I've played them inconsistently, but not in the way that I normally would have throughout my entire life, basically. Like really my entire life has always been like, I am playing a game right now, you know, like this is the thing I'm playing. It's like, I kind of am always like, you know, I'm going through my day at like school or work or whatever. And it's like, I'm going to go play this thing when I get home. But I don't know. I've only taken like one other break like this, and it was like when I was in like 8th or 7th grade or something. And I don't know what prompted me to do that, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I was just feeling like overwhelmed or it's like I was kind of losing the joy or something. So I was like, some distance is probably gonna, or some time apart is probably gonna help this. But what about you? I mean, have you taken a break? Have you ever taken a break?
Okay.
Or are you just less obsessive than me? That's not true.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that's not true, is it?
Yeah.
I think that, okay, so how I work with hobbies. Okay. No, this is going to illustrate how my obsessions work. Is that I would say maybe 3 hobbies at the moment that I cycle through. And I will like hyper focus on like, okay, so like my 3 hobbies, for example, are writing, reading, actually drawing. So let's say 4 hobbies: writing, reading, drawing, and video games. And I will do one for like 2 weeks to like an extreme degree, like nonstop, get burnt out on it, and then switch to one of the other ones.
Yeah.
So it's like
I've witnessed this cycle.
Yes. Yeah. So it's like I can't be there is no such thing as moderation. We are either balls to the wall, like full tilt for something, or I'm not touching it. Yeah, I would say that like, once a month I might go like on a week-long video game binge and then not touch it for like a long time.
I kind of fell into that trap during my break where it's like, I did not play nothing. There was actually a lot of times that I like attempted to get into something and it just like, I was like, nope, it's not time yet.
Yeah.
I gotta put it back. But when we had like a Minecraft resurgence, and That's like a perfect example of like my obsessive compulsive something.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
like, oh, Minecraft time? Okay, I'm going to clock out of work. I'm going to go home and goodbye, wife. I am playing Minecraft.
No lifing. No lifing.
I can't do anything else right now because I've got to chop this wood. I've got to build a village. I've got to do all these things. I've got to make like a whiteboard basically in Minecraft of tasks that I want to complete. And then eventually just it's like hit a wall. It's like, oh, that was the last time I played on that realm. Which is how it always goes.
And I've noticed we hit walls when we try to build walls. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think is that true? That's true for Crafty Boys.
Yes.
That one world that we had. We're like, let's build a bigger wall to protect us.
From what?
And then we stopped I don't know, from fucking creepers.
Yeah.
Creeping. Yeah, we started building the wall. We mostly built the wall. I don't know if it was finished or not.
It's walls and giant stone towers.
Yeah.
That's what kills it every time.
Yeah.
So Crafty Boys, it was both because you had a giant wizard tower. Sorry, Marcy is scratching my door. Stop. Anyway.
Did you have Marcy whenever we were recording? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Marcy's not new. She's still around. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's either building a big stone tower, cylindrical stone tower that kills it, or trying to build
I love to do that.
A wall with a sophisticated pattern. And for some reason, both of those things just kill our ability to keep going.
I don't know what my obsession is with stone towers. I'm not like the most creative person in Minecraft. I'm not a big builder. Most of my bases are underground because I can't be fucked to focus on the exterior of my abode or something.
Yeah.
But something about that stone tower, it always gets me. Maybe it's the phallic nature of it. Maybe it's something like that.
Yeah.
I don't really know. But yeah, that we had a Minecraft stint. I don't know if you have anything else to say about the Minecraft stint though. I mean, it was kind of neat because we played with like Skylar.
Yeah.
Like most of the Minecraft stints, it was mostly me and you.
Yes. Yes. But we had a decent amount of people, like Sage got on, moved into my house with me because we're married in real life, so we can do that in Minecraft.
Yeah.
That's allowed.
Gotta recreate real life in Minecraft.
Yeah.
It's got to be intimidating when it's like, oh yeah, hey guys, you want to play this realm? And it's like everyone like hops on in the early days, and it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna equal playing field and stuff. And they log off, log back on the next day. There's fucking mansions, and we killed the Ender Dragon, and
I was gonna say, okay, so where we left off was I had a 3 or 4 story steampunk mansion. Ethan had a little wooden cabin on the hill across from me. And I had also built like this fancy stone bridge over the canyon separating our houses with like different types of stone. So it was like really textured and like cool looking. You had an underground marketplace full of villagers with all of the like enchantments. Well, not all enchantments, but like a decent amount of enchantments, right?
Yep. Oh, I forgot about that.
I was building a subway system under the village with minecarts. We had a walled village, and we were building the interior of the buildings, which I think is where we stopped. But I had like it was like a Japanese style village and like a cherry blossom forest. So we had like the big torii gates. I had like a shrine in the middle, and like it was kind of cool. Like but like we just lost gumption. I don't know.
We did. We get burnt out. I mean, much like how you describe the hobbies. It's just
exactly
all and then nothing.
Right. And Skylar was doing what's it called? Terraforming. Like he was building these really nice even terraces, and we were putting wheat on it to make it look like these nice like organized fields. Yeah. Yeah. Very scenic.
It was good. It was a community. It was a group effort.
It was.
But I'm thinking about it. It's kind of like if like you move into like this nice, if you like move into a subdivision at like the same time as someone else, and then all of a sudden they have like a amusement park in their backyard. They were just like outdoing them.
Yes.
And it's not a competition. Everyone's going at their own pace, but it feels like a competition whenever you're being outpaced by such a degree. So,
yeah, I will say, like, I think the one weird thing that I'm like secretly competitive about it's not like an issue. Like but like I feel the need to have a secret hoard of diamonds.
Yeah, I know.
Just like it's some sort of like security measure. And I don't know what that's about.
That's like something you should bring up to your therapist. Yeah. Like, why do I do this?
Yeah, why do I need that? I think it's because I'm afraid that like at some point we're going to establish an economy and it's like, well, I can't be poor. I can't be poor in Minecraft.
That's like trauma based on something that's actually happened.
Right. I think it definitely is, yeah.
But outside of video games, or I guess let me touch on one more video game. Played like Act 1 of Baldur's Gate like 10 times. I don't believe that there's like a second half of that game. Or a third half of that game. It's just Act 1 to me. And it's great, 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah, Act 1 is a good time, for sure.
Act 1's a good time. Have you passed Act 1?
So where I got to was there's a point where you are supposed to go, it's like, I forget the names. Okay, so I got Halcyon or whatever. And Halcyon's like, oh, we need to go to this new area. You can either take this route or go like underground. And I think I was headed toward the underground way. I hadn't met up with the Githyanki Kraish. So I don't.
You're in the same line of thinking that I was in. That's still Act 1. Okay.
Well, that's where I left off.
You've got a ways to go before.
Okay. And I kind of like lost gumption because, okay, here's the thing. And you're going to hear, okay, you're going to listen to me say this and you're going to be like, that is so typical of you. And I feel like our listeners might also be like, oh my God. Well, like just, anyway. So I was going to romance Astarion, whatever. Because of course. Like, what else do you expect from me? I didn't realize, I guess, how like evil aligned he was at first.
He's like, is he evil or is he chaotic neutral?
Yeah, I would say he's more self-serving. So I guess that would be chaotic neutral, maybe. I don't know what his official alignment is. I didn't pay attention.
He also likes to fuck around, so he's like kind of chaotic evil.
Yeah.
Like he likes the fuck around options.
Yeah. And so like, I mean, so I was kind of playing like, typically when I first play an RPG, I pick like the nice options because I don't really know what's going on. And that's typically how you get more content anyways, if you just be nice and like agreeable. So I kept like accidentally pissing him off and like annoying him a little bit. So he didn't have high approval. So he didn't want to get with me. And I had been feeding Gale magical artifacts because I was like, well, I'm going to be nice. And so he had like a high approval with me. And then I got to the first like, I don't know, big like party event situation where it's like you can hook up with somebody if your approval's high enough. And Astarion didn't want me, made fun of me. And I was like, oh damn, that's sad. And then I went and talked to Gale and he was like, hey, do you want to meet in the woods later? And I was like, huh, I guess. And then I was like, oh, he wants to hook up in the woods. Oh no. So then I ghosted him.
Yeah.
It's like a whole thing.
I know. I was just trying to be homies with Gale, and he kept trying to fuck me.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't need you to be, like, I don't know.
Like, dude, I'm, like, literally in a relationship.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's just kind of how the game is.
Oh, shoot, what's her name?
Lae'zel? Shadowheart?
Lae'zel, yeah. She wanted to jump my bones.
Oh, yeah.
She was like, I thought you were kind of stupid, but now I kind of want you. And I was like, can we just be friends? And she was like, you'll regret that. And I was like, okay.
I mean, a genuine complaint that I have with the game is kind of how it handles the romance, in that I just feel like everyone is too easy to bed.
Yeah, I almost
they come on real strong.
Yeah, I was going to say, I almost kind of prefer the BioWare method of like, you have like some like pre-game flirting, you kind of test the waters back and forth a little bit before they proposition you. Usually,
yeah, make me work for it.
Yeah, I like to be teased.
I don't want to just complete a quest and Lae'zel is like, I'm so fucking horny.
Right? It's like, well, okay. I mean, at least you're honest.
You were like threatening to murder me like 10 seconds ago. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, the paths that you can go down with the relationships are pretty interesting. I obviously, only being in Act 1, didn't make it very far with anybody.
Yes.
I did. Karlach was often who I was pursuing. Karlach and Lae'zel across my 30 characters that I've made. But yeah, I never made it that far. I feel like Karlach is probably the most interesting.
Yeah, I was going to ask which
option.
one speaks to you the most.
Definitely Karlach.
Okay.
Or Will or something. But Gale, stop fucking eating all my shit. And Starian's evil. Shadowheart's kind of just moody. I guess Lae'zel has it's like a male version of the I can change him.
Yeah.
I can change her.
Right.
But there's also Helson and stuff, I think. And he's cool. But
you can have sex with Halson when he's a bear.
That's right. Yeah, I was like, I think you can. I was like, yeah, that was the whole not controversy. I don't know. Maybe it was a controversy. That was the whole discussion around the game, right before it came out, was the bear.
That is kind of an interesting ethical question, isn't it? Because it's
I thought it was maybe just more meant to be. I mean, before the game came out, I was like, oh, that's just a joke, I think.
Yeah.
It's just oh, this is funny.
No, they were for serious.
Yeah, with how horny this game is, I'm like, maybe they were more serious. I don't really know. This podcast does not condone bear fucking.
Well, so the thing with Halson, though, is it's he's a sentient, consenting elf.
Yeah, he's
he
more
just
than a bear.
Happens to be in bear form.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
right.
But yeah, IRL bear sex, no. Well, okay.
You know what? It's
unless we're talking about gay men bears, that's fine.
Okay, yeah. The code name. I mean, I was going to say it's the same thing as whenever your wife is like, would you still love me if I was a worm? It's just, would you still fuck me if I was a bear?
I was a bear.
And you have to say yes. It's a trap.
Yeah.
So, yep. All right. That was Baldur's Gate. I mean, I don't know. We could talk forever about this stuff. I kind of want to poke your brain because as sort of to fill the void that video games had left in my life, I did a variety of other things. But one of them was I watched a lot more shows and read a lot more, specifically manga. And I was like, this kind of sounds dumb because I watched shows and movies and stuff before, but getting really engrossed in stuff, I was like, man, these are way better than all stories in video games. I'm like, oh man, you can do such complex stuff in just a strictly story narrative format. Video games should be more I'm thinking of the most narrative games I can think of, The Last of Us. And I'm like, man, dude, Attack on Titan is doing what The Last of Us tried to do so much better.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
And it's just, I don't know, there's other stuff like that. But I know that we've been talking about manga and anime on and off the record, the podcast being the record. But yeah, it's some stuff I think I can't remember, did I talk about Claymore and Berserk?
You did, yeah.
During the podcast? Okay. Well, I finished Berserk. I'm pretty sure I finished Claymore actually during the podcast, but both great. I feel like I read another series. It might have been short and I might have forgot it. But I'm working on 20th Century Boys right now. Nice, fun little cult, situation.
I love cult stuff.
Oh my God. I feel like this, it's telling such a non-linear narrative. It's just jumping around from time periods, protagonists. There's a lot of this, it's trying. So the premise is, it's this group of kids who play around in some Japanese setting or whatever, some small town Japanese setting, and they come up with these scenarios where it's oh, here's how we would save the world, here's what the bad guys would do. So they grow up and they start to notice strange things happening in the news and stuff where it's oh, this is weirdly what we talked about when we were kids. And then they notice the emblem that they had for their little group. They made a little drawing of a hand and an eyeball and stuff. And it's this is the symbol for our group. And then they notice that, like, just in the wild somewhere, and it just, spirals out of control.
Right.
They're like trying to like uncover all these memories of like a lot of like repressed memory shit, a lot of like unreliable narrator stuff.
Yeah.
It's a good time story, like the story that, and again, like the story that it lays out in like the first few volumes takes a sharp turn from, I mean, I'm not going to say much because it's like the whole thing is like the twists and the turns of it. So good though. I'm like halfway through it at this point. And it's the first series that or first manga series that I decided to pick up physically.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun. I got them on a shelf. Very interesting. I can't do it for everything though. It's too much.
Well, yeah, I was going to say limited on space and trying to keep the whole minimalist thing going maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely want like a library part of my house, whether that be a couple bookshelves or like something more than that, because I want to have like give my kids like access to like fiction that has been read and scanned. Basically, it's like, we know the content of this, and that was part of the reason where it's like I love Berserk. Berserk is like probably it's like my favorite story that I've ever like experienced, and I'm like, my kid can't have access to this. It's like,
not for a long time.
I love it, but I can't have it physically.
Yeah,
because it's all you could just open to a random page and be traumatized. So
right,
I can't have that. But yeah, I mean, have you been watching anything? Have you finished Naruto yet?
No. So we've been waiting for the English dub still to come out on Hulu. Actually, we might be at a point where we could watch it.
So does it roll out slowly, or are you waiting still at the point you were waiting before? It
like rolls out in batches where it's we're going to release like 5 or 10 episodes. But like I said, I don't remember if like the main story, we might be at the point where like the main story is all out in English dub. But like there's like a big chunk of filler like right at the end that's still in Japanese only. I don't know. So no, I haven't finished Shippuden. I think I talked about this probably the last time we talked about Naruto is I have so many issues with the writing. It just kind of, especially like as I've, discovered my own like preferences as a writer and like put time and effort into learning about like theme and like how to manage plot threads and how to build characters and just like, it's hard for me to watch Naruto without resenting everything in it that gets neglected.
Yeah.
Mainly the female characters, if I'm being honest.
Dude, it's weird. And I get that it's like we're mostly enjoying or diving into like shonen and seinen manga. So it's like, okay, it's for boys. But like, why does it have to be like not for women?
Yeah.
This is what it feels like sometimes.
Yeah.
Because there's so many cool characters specifically in Naruto.
Exactly.
So many female characters.
So much potential.
Like, I know. And it's like, just like, no development.
No. And even the characters, like the side characters who do get, I would say really good development, are still so frustratingly sidelined by stuff that is just like not compelling to me whatsoever. Like you have like Rock Lee. Rock Lee is an amazing, incredibly compelling character because he is like the underdog, like in a world where jutsu is everything and he can't do it and he still like goes crazy.
Dude, he was like so instantly likable.
Exactly. And we're so far along into like Shippuden and like he's like nothing. He's so neglected by the narrative. So is Sakura, so is like, I mean, I would say Shikamaru gets a decent amount of time to shine, and like Choji, Ino gets shafted horribly. horribly. There's like an emotional moment where a character is giving like their last bit of advice to some of the kiddos, to some of the ninja kids, and like Shikamaru gets like a really meaningful message. Choji gets I think Choji gets told to lose weight which is
I was about to just guess that.
That's infuriating and fucked up, actually. And
also,
then,
isn't his weight his superpower? Anyway, go on.
yes, no, it is. It's literally like part of his, like he has to have the extra weight to be able to use his like super powerful jutsu. So that's like stupid. Stupid advice, bad advice. And then you know, I'm pretty sure gets told some bullshit of like, hey, don't let Sakura get that boy you both have a crush on. And I'm like, fuck you. Actually, you know what? Fuck you. It just pisses. Oh, it makes me so mad.
I feel like you almost get away with that level of like, you almost get away with something like that whenever they're like younger in like the Naruto series.
Right. But it's like
grow up and let them grow up too.
Yeah.
God.
And it's like when we're talking about like character development and stuff and like, I'm not saying that like I'm entirely against like Sakura and Sasuke as like a couple. I would say I'm against the way it gets handled in canon because it's just handled so terribly. Like there's no reason to root for them.
I know.
Because it's so one-sided and like pathetic, and Sakura doesn't get to outgrow it. Because the writing won't let her. And it's like it's not like it could be something super compelling, but it's not. And so it's like hard for me to just sit there and like see all this missed potential fly by and just like stomach it without getting insanely mad.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, it's kind of made me bitter to the point where I'm like, the worst thing about Naruto is Naruto. The worst thing about Naruto is Naruto and Sasuke. And that's like not true. It's just I resent it because of the missed potential of literally everything else. And like the power scaling that happens towards the end of Naruto and like the plot twists and like the lore and stuff that gets revealed, I'm like, this is some of my least favorite tropes ever. Like it's just pissing me off. Do you care if I like spoil it? Or whatever?
I would say it's like almost like I don't care, but like maybe refrain just for the episode.
Okay, that's fine.
But yeah, if it can't be super vague. Is it that the real jujitsu was the friends we made along the way? Is it something?
No. No. It's not even something kind of like corny, but like friendship based like that. No, not really. It's more along the lines of like, oh, well, I come from a line of super powerful things, and so therefore I am super powerful. And I'm like, that's not interesting. That's not like, no, I actually hate that a lot. And I mean, it's more complicated than that, but the sort of like, I don't know, it just kind of taints everything for me. Like there's more nuance to the lore than what I'm making it sound like, and some of that I would say is worth discussing, but it still just pisses me off. Sorry.
No, I get you.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of, you know what, like thinking harder on it, I'm probably not picking up the series again. I do like seeing like clips of later parts of the show that I have not seen yet, where it's like, yeah, this seems like a fun fight, or this seems like a cool character that I don't know anything about yet. But I don't know. I mean, like I'm like in deep in One Piece right now. I don't know. There's something about that I enjoy more. It's filling the Naruto sized hole in my heart. So
yeah.
I'm not really like lusting for anything. I don't know why lust was the word I chose.
I was gonna say that I feel like you have seen the best of what Naruto has to offer, like thematically speaking. I think that like the first two arcs of Naruto were so solid in what they were trying to say about the world of like the shinobi system in Naruto. And it had like some really good and powerful moments and things that it was saying, and things that like if it had just continued more with that direction and that tone, I think it would have been a lot better than what we ended up with. Because what we ended up with, it's like it turns into like do you know what kaiju is?
Yes.
Like the big monsters. It's like we're like 500 episodes into Shippuden, and it's like, oh, look at these big monsters shooting energy beams at each other, and I'm like, this is not what I signed up for.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to like, I can't really say this like in good faith, because I didn't give Shippuden like enough of a try. Like I finished the first arc, kind of got held up on like the in-between or like the filler parts of like the second arc or whatever. So I didn't stick with it long enough to really say this definitively, but like I think I enjoyed when they were kids a lot more, like just as a premise. I know that there's like certain arcs of Shippuden that are probably pretty awesome, but like, I don't know, something about like them being ninja kids is more appealing to me than them being ninja teenagers or however old they are.
Yeah. Yeah, I think by Shippuden, they're like, what, 14, 15? I think they're 15.
So in anime terms, they're basically like 25-year-olds. It's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah,
like,
and it's also weird, again, the like power scaling issues. I don't know. I mean, I guess since it's, it is for like teenage boys, right? So I guess the fantasy is like, I'm a teenage boy and I am also the most powerful thing on the planet.
Right.
But like watching it as like a grown woman, I'm like, why do these kids like it like to me as like a grown woman, it's like you don't have like the life, like you didn't earn this stuff. Like you don't have the life experience and like the maturity to like, what are we doing? I don't know.
Right.
So I guess maybe I'm just not the intended audience and I just have to accept that. Anyway.
Yeah. One Piece has been good. I comparing it to Naruto, it's like I feel like I like Luffy more as a character. He's infinitely dumber, and something very endearing about that. I feel like the female characters were handled with more like intentionality and like thought earlier on than where I'm at currently. I'm at the time skip, and I'm noticing a pattern emerging around like fan service and stuff. And I'm like, is this a permanent thing? Is this like a, hey, it's like the beach episode arc or something? Because they're like in like mermaid land, basically. I'm like, is this temporary? I don't really know. But I did notice that. And I feel like characters like Nami and Robin have been less, I don't know, interesting. Like the mainstay female characters. They feel a little off to me right now. Compared to how they felt earlier in the show. Like I sent Morgan like just a completely out of context clip of like the climax of Nami's like character arc in like the first chunk of the show where she learns to rely on her crew.
Yes.
And I'm like, this is fucking great. Cried.
I'm sure that was fantastic with context for me. I was kind of like, this seems like a big moment, but I don't know why.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so good early on. But and also it's like when you have a show that's running for like 1,000 episodes, it's like, is it really on you to keep developing the characters? Like, I don't really know. Like, do they eventually like reach a point where they're kind of capped out for a little bit?
No idea.
I don't really know.
I guess you'll find out.
There's still stuff happening. I don't know. It's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, One Piece, cool. And I'm way too into it. I'm into the card game, Morgan. I'm playing fucking card games over here. I'm going to magic drafts. I don't know what the fuck happened.
You're gathering new hobbies. What's wrong with that?
I guess so. I've been trying to go to like a One Piece locals. I've got like a couple decks. I'm feeling pretty feisty with my decks. I'm playing the One Piece simulator. Shout out to whoever made that. A beautiful game. There's a surprising amount of people playing it. It's like I'm never waiting for a match. It's always just there. It's good. The issue is that the day that we do the local tournaments at my card shop is also the day that we get together with some friends in the undisclosed location that I live.
I was gonna say, I heard that. Wait a minute.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's that. It's like, man, why does everything gotta be on the same day? Anyway, there's that. It's a thing. I don't know, card games. Yeah, hey Morgan, what else? Like outside of video games, outside of nerd shit?
Okay.
Anything going on? I mean, you can also talk if you had something else to say.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to pop in real quick and say about video games. I guess let's take a break from like the real world stuff and pop into video game land for a second. I'm sure I have said in past episodes, like alluded to being a big fan of like BioWare games.
Right.
Like Mass Effect Dragon Age.
Yeah, we got to talk about this.
Okay, Veilguard. I hated it, man. I hated it. Okay. Now, hold on, let me walk this back. When I first played Veilguard, I like binged it and was playing it like nonstop, day after day after day. Just because I think I was having a lot of fun because it was the thrill of finally having another Dragon Age game in my hands after 10 years, right? And also, like, I would say your first experience of Veilguard, if you just kind of shut your brain off, and again, or if you're like starstruck with the thrill of having another Dragon Age game, you're going to have a fun time. Now, the second you finish it, and maybe you let it marinate in your head for a few days, you're going to be like, wait a minute. No, this is not what I wanted, actually, at all. And if you try to replay it, you're going to be like, oh, this sucks. At least that was my experience. Pretty much everything that really resonated with me about Dragon Age is dead and gone and has been stripped from it. I wouldn't say that there are complex themes still in Veilguard. It's just the way they're handled. It's like the writers are holding your hands and the writers are wielding giant cartoon-sized hammers and they're constantly beating you over the head with, this is the right way to feel and think about this. You don't need to think and feel for yourself. We'll just tell you how you should think and feel about these things. And the dialogue is written so horribly. The lore is given is just the most lackluster delivery, and there's no impactful choices. The choices are things like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, do you like hot chocolate or coffee? Now, if depending on which thing you say, this character will remember if you like hot chocolate or coffee. Doesn't that make you feel good? Isn't this a nice cozy time at the end of the world that we're all having together? I don't give a fuck. I don't give a single fuck, okay? About your goddamn coffee. I know you didn't play it, so this probably sounds a little bit unhinged, but it kind of broke my heart, and I'm not looking forward to the next Mass Effect game. I don't think I will even touch it. All of my faith in BioWare is dead and gone. Yeah. My
faith in BioWare was not to... This is meant to be like a told you so. It was dead prior to this. I think
that's fair.
it was. It's like you're just showing. I feel like you're showing up to the funeral late.
Yes,
but yeah,
I was in denial. I was in the denial phase of grief, and now I am fully into acceptance and like, okay, it's time to move on. But
it's okay. They gave us the Mass Effect trilogy.
Yes.
You know,
and the first 3 Dragon Age games.
The first 3 Dragon Age games. That's okay. It does kind of suck that Dragon Age did not receive like a more final conclusion or whatever, kind of like Mass Effect 3 was. So that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that there's Andromeda and stuff, but it doesn't exist.
Yeah. So it's like Veilguard. Okay. So you know how the Mass Effect trilogy, well, maybe you know how the Mass Effect trilogy concludes, basically, right?
Only vaguely. I know that it's like, I don't know. I don't know exactly.
Okay, well, I guess it's kind of like, so the Mass Effect trilogy, the way it ends, regardless of whichever option you pick at the end of Mass Effect, at least for all the flaws that ending has, at least it is a culmination of everything in such a way where it's like, oh, the world is never going to be the same because of everything that happened in this trilogy. I guess how I feel after the end of Veilguard is it's like, the status quo was maintained. The world is the exact same as when it started, more or less. And it's like, why? Like it didn't, I don't know. It just, there was nothing interesting about the ending that, I'm sad. I'm so sad.
I feel like this game was also heavily injured by its like easy direct comparison to like Baldur's Gate 3, which came out earlier.
Right.
It was more well received for a lot of reasons.
It's like Baldur's Gate 3 is so much more similar to Dragon Age Origins than Veilguard is to Dragon Age Origins. It's like and Baldur's Gate 3's role-playing options just absolutely blow Veilguard out of the water.
Blow a lot of games out of the water. I can't think of like a AAA game that's comparable.
Yeah. So I guess, at this point I'm I am sad, and I have been coping by writing fan fiction.
That's good.
To just sort of like
someone's
wipe the
got to
slate.
clean up this mess.
Yeah, wipe the slate clean and be like, I am in charge now. Since you people clearly don't know what you're doing. Oh, and also to be clear, the issues that I have with Veilguard are not because I know there was a lot of this anti-woke mob bullshit.
Yeah, it kind of sucks that
Veilguard.
yeah, but who cares about, that's not the point.
Right.
Of the criticism.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I guess I'm just saying that, like, I am not on that side of, like, the criticism. Like, my criticism has more to do with, like, the quality of the writing and, like, the themes and, like, the messaging or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And, like, I will say, so, like, Tosh is, like, the clickbait, the rage bait character, I would say, where it's, like, everyone wants to talk about their gender identity. I think, personally, the only thing I'm going to say about Tosh is that I have no issue with their gender identity arc. That's not a problem. I think it's incredibly stupid and nonsensical to have a character who is like in the process of discovering their non-binary identity. And part of the choice you can make with Tosh and how you can influence them is Tosh also comes from a multicultural background. Okay. So they have like their original culture of their race versus the culture of the place they grew up in. Like they're kind of like an immigrant, maybe, just so this makes sense to you. And they ask you, they're like, well, which culture should I be? And it's like, okay, I don't understand how we have a character where a big point about them is talking about them not feeling like they belong in either gender category. And that's fine, right? And them accepting that. So why can't we have that same discussion about their culture? Why does it have to be either or? That just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like so like dissonant where I'm like, what are we missing here? How did we miss this? Like, it needed another like editing pass, I guess. And the whole game just kind of felt like it was full of like clunky issues like that where I'm like, what is wrong with you people? I don't know.
I'm familiar with this kind of like tough position to be put in where it's like there's a dumb sort of controversy about a game and you have thoughts about it, but you're trying not to be lumped in with like one group or another.
Exactly.
Last of Us Part 2 was much of the same thing. Yeah. Where it's like, guys, I don't care about the social commentary or like that part. I'm just trying to say that the structure of the narrative was not perfect. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah. I will say one thing, maybe skirting too close to like social issues. Whenever I hear about like Dragon Age discussing identity and sexuality using 2025 terminology, that does make me kind of double take. I'm like, I feel like you could have, I don't know. It feels weird to me. Like do they straight up say non-binary?
They do. Yes.
Is binary is a computer term, right?
Well,
does binary, can you, like, what came first? I'm like chicken or the egging this.
I don't know. So when we say, well, at least when we're talking about gender, when we say gender binary, we're talking about, instead of gender being a spectrum, right? There's like a hard line dividing men and women, like the gender of male and female, I guess.
But just from like a language perspective, the origin of that word, is that rooted in computer?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know, but I don't think so. I mean, like, yeah, binary is definitely a thing, but binary just means
binary
like,
has a new meaning now,
right,
for sure.
Right.
But like, was it because of the 1 and 0 on and off?
I don't know. I guess you could probably, isn't there like a Google thing where you can like see the usage of a word over time? You could probably check that, and I'm sure it would probably go up when we. I
understand like the root, kind of like the by to, nary, is maybe a bird or something. I don't know what that part.
No. I do also take issue with I would say modern terminology around that, and also if I encounter modern therapy speak in a fantasy setting, it does actively piss me off.
That's a little strange to me too.
And let me, I guess, take that and segue into the other thing that I was going to bring up in terms of like hobbies and stuff. So I've been trying to like read more consistently until I get burned out on it, of course. But I tried to read. So two of my friends, one of them being your wife, read the Fourth Wing series. I have a very bad history with book talk and book talk favorites and recommendations. I have not encountered one that I thought was very good at all yet. And they're just not well written, and they just make me mad. But I was reading Fourth Wing.
They're like the popcorn movie equivalent to books or something like that.
They're kind of like okay, I'm going to say, for me personally, reading a book talk favorite is, I would say, inherently more valuable than scrolling mindlessly on your phone. Like,
oh, okay, yeah.
Like, yeah. I'm going to say reading anything probably has more value to bettering you as a person than just mindlessly scrolling on your phone. So it's like, no shade to people who like book talk, or that's like how they read, or like what they read or whatever. That's up to you. That's up to your preference. Me personally, I have a very hard time overlooking a lot of the flaws that I personally find in book talk favorites. But so like, I guess in Fourth Wing, for example, yeah, book talk to me is like the turn your brain off. If just read this and don't think too hard about it, and then you'll probably have a good time. But my problem is my brain doesn't shut up. It won't shut up. I can't turn it off. So I was reading Fourth Wing, and I only made it like 8 chapters in before I was like, I give up. This is actively making me angry and making my blood pressure go up. I have to stop. And it was like in one of the first chapters where the main character, and this is a fantasy setting, right? With a dragon riding school and like magic and stuff, and it's like kind of like medievalish technology, I would say, is what we're working with, or like magic is like the source of technological advancements. And the character is talking to her mother, and in her internal monologue, thinking about her mother, she's like, gee, emotionally distant much? And I'm like, is this what we're doing? Is this really what we're gonna do? Like, it just kind of like took the wind out of my sails immediately. I was like, no, there's so many better ways we could do this. That's less immersion breaking, I guess. But yeah, so basically, yeah, I agree that modern therapy speak, modern terminology for certain things it just makes me angry.
Yeah, I agree. I don't hear a lot of the books that Claire's listening to, because sometimes she'll listen to a book, but whenever I catch glimpses, sometimes I'm like, this is not how people speak. But I also read filler garbage sometimes too. Sometimes I'm like, you know what? I know this isn't like a good story, but I'm really down for like something that tells this specific type of narrative. And it's like, a narrative about this thing or this setting. And it's like, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just going to enjoy it. But I know that you're approaching the whole reading and writing thing from more of a, I'm here to somewhat kind of learn. So it makes sense. It's like you're going, you don't go to like film school and watch just like garbage.
Right. Or you don't go to film school and watch like exclusively Marvel movies.
Yeah. That type of, yes.
Yeah, and I guess it's definitely hard for me to engage with like romantasy book talk stuff. When my mindset, I am looking for like, I don't know, themes and character arcs. Like I'm looking for like deeper stuff to sink my teeth into. And I guess that being said, things that I have read and actually enjoyed. So I got into, I started reading some Brandon Sanderson. He's a big fantasy author. I don't know if I would say, so I started with the Mistborn trilogy, which I would say is probably YA fantasy. And like, unlike Fourth Wing, right? And I'm not saying that Fourth Wing doesn't have like, I honestly probably didn't get far enough into Fourth Wing to be able to really like analyze any deeper themes. I don't know if it even has any. I didn't think that it had any based on the first 8 chapters, but who knows? But Brandon Sanderson is, I would say, he's really solid at his world building, making his magic systems in his fantasy setting interesting, and like the questions that he gets you to ask about the world that he's introducing you to through his writing is really well done. Mm-hmm. So those are like the kind of things that I'm looking for when I read fantasy, not, oh, there's a hot boy and he has this like lethal grace when he moves in. He's so much taller than me and his eyes are the color of onyx, but they're also flecked with gold. Like, shut up.
Some of that
Sorry,
stuff is...
I'm just such a hater when it comes to that stuff. And I also read fan fiction, so it's like,
I know. I was gonna press you on this because I'm like, Morgan. To me, I'm like, are you describing fan fiction? Because in my head, this is my understanding of fan fiction.
Well, I know. Well, that's the thing is that there's you have to understand there's multiple. There's I guess different strains of fan fiction. Maybe is the best way to put it.
Oh,
because,
yeah, I get that.
The fan fiction that I read is like. Well, of course, I like it because it's like exactly to my taste or whatever. But it's like miles better than the slop and Fourth Wing. Like, I promise you. And so, I don't know. It's like, why would I waste my time with, or like, why would I pay money for this when I can read something on AO3 that's like a million times better? I don't know. I'm just being a hater at this point.
My understanding of fanfic, obviously limited, but I'm like, to me, it's like some sort of, it's not a question of like if it's horny or not. It's just how horny is it? I mean, that's my understanding, but maybe I'm wrong.
There's fanfic that's written that has no sexual content in it at all. I would say most of the fanfic I read...
No, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh, no. I know most of the fanfic that I read is like romance focused, but it's more, to me, it's not about like how hot is this guy. It's about how does this relationship develop over time? What is like the conflict? What is the tension? What is it that they're overcoming? Like those are the things that make it interesting to me. It's not big, tall, buff, hot guy. Like I could care less about that. It's like...
What is the most like if you were to take the average of all of these like traits of like an appealing man from these like sloppy what is the most like default?
The most default?
Attractive man, according to these authors.
Okay. The things that I notice the most is okay. Normally the female lead, oh, she's so small. She's so tiny. She's so petite. She's so little. And the boy is big. The boy is big and his presence is like slightly intimidating and like dominating because he's so tall and his abs are carved from, he looks like he was carved from marble, his muscles. And when he moves, you see his muscles flex and flutter under his skin. And he has high cheekbones. And he has a sharp jawline. Yeah. And he has like a big Adam's apple that you can see like bob up and down when he swallows.
Oh.
And he can like fit my whole boob in his hands. Like just like a palm. I don't know how to explain it. Like he has big hands. He has big man hands. I'm trying to think of other, he normally has like hair that falls in his eyes or something like that. Like long-ish hair. I mean, not like, it can vary.
Sure.
But yeah, typically he has like stormy eyes.
Oh, eyes. Yeah. You mentioned eyes. I'm like, I could see that being just like a weird thing that every book for some reason mentions like, oh, he's got such unique eyes.
Yeah.
That's how you know he's a main character.
Right. That's definitely a thing. And it also does not matter what his eye color is, but you are going to hear so much about his eyes. And this is something that I'm also guilty of because I like to think about like where people are looking and like what significance that holds. Like making eye contact is kind of significant or whatever. But
I get it. I spend at least 5 minutes on the eye color part of my Baldur's Gate character. So
yes. But like if he has blue eyes, it's like, oh, they're so icy and cold and intense. And if he has dark eyes, they're so like stormy or like sad or full of despair. Like there's always so much emphasis put on the eyes. And I don't know, probably like how easily he can pick the girl up and like just fling her around. Like twirl her around like a baton, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, this is good to know.
Yeah. So that is your default romance lead man. So if you don't look like that, if you don't have those qualities, good fucking luck.
Good fucking luck, boys. Start hitting the, I don't know. What's that device that stretches you out, makes you taller? I don't.
Yeah, jeez. I was going to say one more thing that I've heard a decent amount of times. Plush lips.
Plush lips?
Yeah. Lips that look kissable. Whatever that means.
Kissable lips. You got kissable lips.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, this is a Wendy's. The dangerous part is, I always think, interesting. Is that rooted in like a I can change him, I can civilize him type thing?
I think it might be rooted in, well, okay. I would say there is a big appeal in him being enough morally questionable enough to not necessarily be the worst person ever, but to be selfish enough that if he is interested in you, he will put you above all else.
Okay.
So like, okay, this is gonna get really weird. That's the best way I can think of to explain it. Okay, the appeal of this type of man is that, let's say we're doing the trolley problem, right? And like, you are tied up on one set of tracks and a bunch of random civilians or innocent people, like multiple innocent people, are tied up on the other tracks. He is going to save you every time. Whereas like someone with like a really like selfless moral compass might be like, no, I'm so sorry, I have to let you go. It's for the greater good. This dude is like a little bit obsessive and maybe a little bit deranged, and he's gonna be like, fuck them kids. I pick you. So I think that's part of the appeal. And also like him being dangerous is appealing maybe in that if he cares about you, the dangerous aspects of him are going to be used to serve you and protect you. If that makes sense.
Protection thing.
Yeah, possibly.
I mean, if you're able to protect, you have to be dangerous to somebody.
Yes.
So that makes sense. And
also like the thrill of being close to something that is dangerous and knowing that it won't hurt you or that it will prioritize you, I would say, is the appeal.
I get that. It's kind of like, I don't know. I always am like Twilight, you know? That's like,
yeah,
you know, similar. Well,
yeah, I think a lot of these tropes probably, I would say, I mean, they've definitely existed before Twilight, but I would say a lot of modern stuff is definitely, you can trace the influences back to Twilight, sure.
I joke with Claire that there's a direct like line you could draw between like Horse Girl and then like readers of these books. I'm like,
you're probably right. I mean,
tame this wild animal, you know? Right? It's like,
what is a horse if not something that could curb stomp you and turn your head into mush if it chose to, but you have a bond with it, so enough effort.
Yep. Yeah. Well, you motherfuckers wanted this podcast to come back, so you're welcome.
Yes.
You want to hit on any of your? Yeah, we got like a variety of things that we still need to. This is just, hey, we're just saving you guys from like a 2-hour long random bullshit segment on the first episode.
Are we? Because I feel like we're gonna start the first like real episode back, and then there's still gonna be 2 hours of random bullshit.
We might. We'll see.
Yeah.
Depends.
I guess the only other thing that I've read recently of note was I read the first 2 Foundation books by Isaac Asimov. Those are very good. That's all I have to say about it, is that it's good.
You got Sopranos on here, which I think is funny. It's funny because you like it.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, it's a good show. Like, it's a good show. Of course Morgan picks this.
What do you mean?
Like, of course Morgan picks. Like, there's like I feel like there's a long list of things that you should technically be enjoying before this. But it's like, of course you pick the thing that is good, but no one recommended to you. It's like...
Yes. Yeah. It's like,
it's very Morgan.
yeah. If you, I'm like trying to get me to do something that you know that I would like, or get me into something that you know that I would like. It's kind of like herding cats, where I'm like, but I'm going to run away and I'm going to go over here.
Yep.
And then I find something else, and then I get involved with that. Yeah, Sage and I started watching The Sopranos, and it's like one of those things where it's like I don't know how much you remember, but like growing up, it was like one of those things where it's like there were ads for this on TV all the time. And it felt like a lot of adults around me were talking about it all the time, or like it was referenced a lot, or like, and now watching it like all this time later and being like, oh yeah, that actually does slap. I understand why everyone was yapping about this all the time. So that's the only reason why I brought it up.
I plan on watching it at some point in my life, but
I think you would get a kick out of it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I would. I've seen like enough clips and heard enough things that I'm like, yeah, this is for me. I'd enjoy this. Big fan of Breaking Bad, so I'm like, this whole anti-hero thing, it's really good for me. I like it. This kind of feels like the Godfather of it. Pun-ish intended? I don't really know.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the characters in The Sopranos has like the Godfather theme as his ringtone.
Oh, perfect.
Like, I think there might have been like a small nod to it there, and there's probably other references.
I was told that there's an episode where they go to Italy and everyone in Italy hates them.
That's actually so funny.
I don't know exactly how that episode plays out, but it sounds funny to me.
Yeah, Sage and I just finished season 1, so that's where we're at, and I think there's 8 seasons.
Okay, that's kind of long.
Yeah. And then I guess I don't really have anything to say about it other than it was extremely well written and really well done. I also sort of half watched Succession along with Sage like a year after everyone was done talking about it, which is another thing that I'm really good at doing. Like The Sopranos, I'm good at getting into something way after it's had its time. But yeah, Succession was also good. And that's all I have to say.
I gave it a try with Claire, and I just don't think it was for me. But maybe I didn't give it enough of a try. We'll never know.
Which, like, so Sage was watching it, and I was kind of like, I was doing other things, and I was kind of aware of it being on in the background. So I didn't really like key in until like probably the last handful of episodes where I was like, oh man, this is kind of crazy. And like, but yeah. So I didn't watch like the whole thing, but like I get the gist. Do you want to talk about? Oh, sorry. Just go ahead. I guess.
I don't know. It's just kind of shit. I've been doing things.
Yeah.
I've been watching shows. But
yeah.
It's just how I played pickleball. I feel like I can talk more about what I did today.
Sure.
I played pickleball for the first time. It awoken something within me.
Oh, okay. What does that mean?
I was like, holy shit. This is fun.
Okay.
I thought it was kind of a dorky ass sport before, but here I am. I'm like, I'm about to order some fucking paddles. I'm about to harass everyone that lives near me. Be like, we gotta play some pickleball. Cause man, I had a good time. Discovered pickleball in 2025.
That's not too. I mean, it's been a popular thing for like a couple of years, right?
I know. Yeah.
It's
I feel like it was a COVID almost era thing.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, it was definitely a thing before then.
Is pickleball like baseball, but like with the ball with the holes in it?
No, you are thinking of wiffle ball, madam.
Oh.
Pickleball is like tennis, but less athletic.
Oh. Huh.
Pickleball is like tennis in a smaller court with like a wiffle ball.
Yeah.
And like kind of like plastic paddles. What is smaller than like a normal tennis racket.
Okay.
But it's just like everything's scaled down. So you're moving less. It's more like
is it more satisfying than badminton?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
How come? Why?
Because with badminton, it's like you hit that motherfucker like really hard, but then it just like slows down. It's like, you know what I mean?
It is kind of like trying to throw a feather.
Exactly.
Okay.
With not racquetball, but with pickleball, you're a bit more dynamic with the movement and the placement. It's also got to bounce, so it's a little bit like table tennis.
But, okay.
It's also, I don't know, it's just felt more explosive, to use just a random word.
No, that makes sense. I get it. Because you can really swat that motherfucker.
Yeah, you can swat that thing. Yeah.
Yeah. You can swat it and it will react accordingly.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Okay. Exactly. Okay. You know, it's got a thing where it's like you got to hit it and have it balance at first, but then I think after a serve, a return, you can just start smacking that thing like out of the air, so it doesn't have to bounce anymore. So you can just jump shot, slam it down. Good stuff.
Okay, nice.
Fun time. At this same establishment that I played pickleball, I also had the worst smash burger I've ever had.
What was wrong with it?
So, have you had? You're not like a ground beef person.
No, not really.
Yeah, so
I mean, burgers are okay.
I'm a big burger guy. Like I do burgers constantly. Like they're my favorite food. Just the most American thing too. It's like I love burgers. I love the burger fixings. I love the different types of burgers you can create. I'm all about the burger. This is objectively the worst burger I've ever had. I received this thing, and I want you to imagine like a chip. You know, like how crunchy a chip is, how crumbly.
Was the burger like that?
There was two patties allegedly, and it was like they took like just a tiny bit of ground beef and just put it under a hydraulic press, and just like it had nothing to it. It was just flaky. And it like extended beyond the diameter of the bun. Oh. And you could just kind of press it and it would just like fall off. It's like crusty, kind of crunchy, like char. It just kind of disintegrate. And I'm like,
Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to think. It wasn't a smashed burger. It was a
obliterated burger or run over burger. Like it was it was smashed too much.
Okay.
It's like everyone at the restaurant put their entire weight on it.
Right.
Yeah. It was crazy, dog. So yeah, that's an anecdote about my life. I don't really know what else.
That's good.
Oh, I mean, I don't really have much else to say. Been living life, been playing not much video games and, you know, engaging in other mediums. So that's been my training arc.
Yeah. I think like two more things I wanted to cover.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I've been doing for the past, not quite 2 months yet. I think I have a streak of like 52 days on Duolingo. I've been learning Japanese.
Mm-hmm. Watashi wa
mo gan desu.
Mo gan desu.
Watashi no kazuko wa totemo chisai desu.
Nani?
Watashi no otto wa atama ga ii hito desu. ホラーゲームが好きです。
ゲーム。すごい。
毎日ゲームをします。はい、そうです。
Final Fantasy.
I'm running out of sentences that I can think of to say.
I'm running out of any words. I was going to dive into some questionable vocabulary to finish out that conversation, so I'm glad you stopped.
Watashi no neko wa totemo kawaii desu. I'm pretty sure you probably know what kawaii means.
Kawaii, cute.
Yes.
Sweet.
And neko is cat, so my cat is very cute.
Oh.
Let me sushi to ramen ga suki desu. I like sushi and ramen. But yeah, so I guess if anyone in our audience knows anything about Japanese, you just got like a sampling of my vocab. And also in Japanese, there's like, I guess you could call it 3 different alphabets. There's hiragana, katakana, and it's kind of hard to explain. Like, I think, so hiragana is like, hiragana and katakana.
Hiragana is like the 1,000 symbols. It's like a ton of symbols, right?
No.
Oh.
Kanji. Kanji has like a butt ton of symbols.
Kanji has the butt ton of symbols.
Okay. Yeah. And the kanji is super complicated because each symbol has like, there are multiple different readings, I guess you could say, because there's the way it's pronounced versus like the meaning of the symbol itself and how it's incorporated into different words, I think can change its meaning. So that makes it really difficult to learn. But I'm at the point where I know I have pretty much all of hiragana and katakana memorized. Like I can read that. There's like so much kanji that I can't read though.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. So for the most part, when I see Japanese text, I can sound it out unless there's kanji in it that I don't recognize, which is more often than not. But yeah, so that's where I'm at.
The only words I picked up on, I have said during this conversation. There's a couple ones that me and Claire like to say. We just like randomly say like parts of like the Attack on Titan like intro and like Demon Slayer intro to each other in a way that I'm like I would need to be musically prompted to bust out. Chi-Chi is another one from Spy Family, because Anya says that all the time, which is, I think, just father, or maybe it's like papa. I don't really know.
Yeah, Chi-Chi is my dad.
Chi-Chi. But we say that
Chi-Chi.
constantly.
And haha is my mom.
Haha. Okay.
And kazoku, kazoku is family.
Chi-Chi's just fun to say. Chi-Chi. It's good.
One of the good things, or I guess one of the easy things about learning Japanese is that a lot of their words are borrowed from English and they're just sort of shoved into their alphabet. So there's words like, one of my favorites, basketball in Japanese is basketboru.
Yep. It's funny because if you ask me to say basketball in like a racist Japanese accent, I would say that, like, and right? I would be correct apparently. So,
yeah. Well, yeah, and it's not like I've heard people say like if you went to Japan and you try to say basketball to them in like an American accent like that, and without trying to pronounce it the way you would through the Japanese alphabet, they're not. I mean, they might like get it, but like. It's actually like the proper thing to just say it the way that they would say it to like, for the sake of them understanding you.
Can you show me your ribbing room? Room.
I know that yomimasu is the verb for to read. I don't think I know how to say room. I don't think that's
I don't know.
But what's some other words? Passporto is passport. Sumaho is smartphone.
Oh, okay.
But like just normal phone is like, I think it's denwa. So it's interesting that like, if you're talking, whatever, like you can't just say, there's not just one word for phone, which I guess is the same in English, but whatever. But yeah, it's been fun.
Is there a hope to go to Japan at some point?
Yeah. I don't know. I think the thing that I was most nervous about is the language barrier, like everywhere. I've never been anywhere that doesn't speak English. So, like, taking the time to like learn Japanese and probably learn some things about the culture before going there, just so we're not accidentally disrespectful and
yeah. Just I'm sure that they're probably at this point pretty annoyed with all the visitors.
Yeah,
but at the same point, it's like, I'm sorry, tourism dollars. You're welcome.
Yeah. Sumimasen.
I'll be nice.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. What was your other thing?
Oh, and the last thing I wanted to bring up, back onto the video game topics. What did you think about The Quarry?
So did you guys finish it?
We did. Okay. Without you, sorry.
That's okay.
The ending was really anticlimactic in my opinion.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
My first thought was, Jesus Christ, can you imagine spending $70 on this thing? That was
Is that how much it was when it first came out?
I think it was $70 when it came out.
Damn. Yeah, I paid like $10.
Yeah, I know, as you should.
Yes.
Yeah, that is rough. I do like a good, just campy, choose your own adventure type thing, though. I mean, it's kind of fun.
Yes.
In the same vein of like, kind of like junk food books. I'm like, junk food gaming. Let's go. I'm all about this. So it was fun. It was more fun to play in a group, and I do like the idea of more of these type of choose your own adventure games incorporating some sort of like group aspect, because there wasn't anything for this game, I don't think, although Zach mentioned that there might have been like a way to like have chat decide stuff or something?
There was like an option, I think it might have been called like Wolf Pack or something, where you can have multiple people like voting on decisions, but then the person hosting the game gets the final say no matter what. Okay. So it's kind of like I could veto you guys.
Yeah, I see. So and Man of Medan Maiden, I don't know how to say it. They had like the co-op mode and stuff. I think that'd be fun. I'd love to see like a It Takes Two or A Way Out like horror game.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Or just like a spooky setting or something. I don't know. Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, I think the Quarry, I would say there was a good amount of times where it's like, because I kind of like it almost, where it's like make a decision and you're like, you get stressed out about the decision where you're like, I don't know what to do. There were a good handful of decisions, I would say, that were sort of like, oh gee, I don't know if this was the right choice. And I like to doubt like that. I think that that's fun and exciting. Yeah. But I would say our first run of the Quarry, we for the most part made all the right choices, so nothing too like chaotic happened. But I think for like entertainment purposes, I almost wish it had gone worse and like more people had died.
I mean, very early on we killed one of the characters. Like that.
Well, yeah. But then we spent the life to bring her back.
Yeah.
Just for her to not really be relevant after that, actually. Like, not a whole lot happened with her. So it was kind of like, maybe we should have left her dead. Just,
I assume towards the end, if I had to guess based on how other games I've played like this go, that towards the end, there is more danger for the characters. So, like, through playing the game, normally there might be, like, one or two instances where they could die. But then, like, at the very end, there's, like, yeah, everyone can die, like, all the time right now.
Yeah.
'Cause it's, like, probably kicking off or something. But it was cool.
It kind of, were you there when I like started going like scorched earth on the creepy rednecks? I don't remember.
Yeah, I was there. I was there for part of it.
When I shotgunned the old lady in the face.
Yep. Yeah, I was there.
Okay.
That was great.
Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say that started to get kind of go off the rails there, where I was like,
Jacob died in his underwear. Yeah, that was great.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. And then so after we finished and like beat the game, and like when I say the game was kind of anticlimactic, I mean, I guess spoilers, but like the game is kind of old, so like whatever.
It's also a choose your own adventure thing. So
true. So like we got to a point where it was like we were looking for like the last like werewolf or whatever to like put an end to the werewolf curse or whatever once and for all. And like it was just kind of like, I don't know, maybe like a little lackluster, because it's like, oh, where's this werewolf? How are we ever going to find it? And then it like hops on the roof of our car. It's like, oh, there it is. We don't even have to look for it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, it's like funny, but like, and then after that, we ran it over with the car. It ran off into the woods. We followed it. And then you had like a moment of like, well, here it is. You have the shotgun. Are you going to shoot the werewolf? And it's like, and it tried to do this like, oh, but don't you feel guilty about shooting it? Because like, it's just this like feral guy.
No.
And like, and it's like, I have no attachment to this guy. Like, yeah, I'm going to get rid of it and like end the werewolf curse. Like, hello. I don't know. I just felt kind of weird. Because it's like, I'm not conflicted about this whatsoever. Why would I hesitate?
More stories should do that. Like last minute, like just a half-ass attempt at like making you sympathize with the villain.
Don't you feel conflicted? Don't you feel bad? No.
No, I don't.
Yeah. But so after we beat it, our friend Ethan, who was like, I guess like spectating also as I was playing, sent me a Reddit thread of someone's like their favorite compiled like end states, and the amount of like different things you can do and that you can orchestrate to happen to everybody. Like there was like one where it's like everybody gets bit and turned into a werewolf, but we cure them all at the last second. And I was like, that slaps, actually.
Oh, that's fun.
That's amazing. So that kind of made me like gain respect for it again after the fact, after I was kind of like, oh man, the ending, I don't know. But it's like, oh, I guess I could finagle it to make it like really tense and like compelling. I don't know. So I would probably have to fiddle with the choices more, and which I guess is probably the point of the game, right? Like you're not supposed to play it just the one time. But also
I love
the
the flowchart stuff for that sort of thing. Detroit
Yes.
Become Human has that built into the game, and I'm like, I think every choose your own adventure game should have like this flowchart thing.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. And like as you like make the choices, it'll like fill out the map for you. Does it do that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, I wish that the quarry had that actually.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it does, and maybe I just never noticed because it's not like I
don't know.
was like hunting around in the menus that much.
Yeah. It can, and it's like a fog of war type thing where it's like, oh, I don't know what the fuck this like line, this like path in this area even is, but it leads to this other thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Love visual data.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And I guess like one thing about the quarry that was kind of cool, I found like the gameplay segments where it's like, you are this character, now walk around. I found that to be kind of like, man, can we just stick to like the scenes and the choices instead of
I know.
just
like,
making me kind of fart around like this?
Yeah. Can the game just have like a smaller, more limited scope? Like I don't need to move. I don't need to control anything.
And I was going to say, I guess it was kind of cool. So like it had this system where when you were like in kind of like that free roam-ish state, you could like go like find optional things to interact with. And then like depending on the amount of evidence you collected by the end. So during the end credits of the game, there's like a podcast. And depending on what happened in the game and the amount of evidence you collected sort of like dictates the fate of all the characters like after the fact as well. So it's like, I've heard that like if you don't collect enough evidence, and you know, there's like dead people and like murdered people that happened, like murders that happened during the night, that like a bunch of characters will get like arrested for it.
That's awesome.
Because they can't like clear their name or whatever if you don't have enough evidence. So like that's kind of fun. Like I do appreciate that. But just from like a moment to moment gameplay thing, like, okay, now you're going to be this girl and you can only walk very slowly around this environment. It's like, well, can we at least jog? I don't know.
Yeah. I'm a big focus and polish guy, I would say.
Yes.
So like in my head, I'm like, just cut out that. That's not why I'm here. I don't enjoy this.
I will say my favorite character in this, I don't think this is very surprising, especially with regards to how I am as a person. My favorite character was the creepy cop.
Yeah, he was awesome. I was so down with him.
Yeah. It was like, oh, you want me to hate this guy? No, I'm not going to do that, actually.
Love him, actually. I actually trust him completely.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's enough. I think we've talked enough. So we're going to come back. I believe we're going to start with Spyro.
Okay. The dragon.
Spyro the Dragon.
PS1.
PS1.
Right? Okay.
So yeah, we're branching out immediately, going backwards one generation. Crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to, I mean, this is sort of back end stuff, Morgan, but I would like to hit like a record cadence of like 3 weeks. I liked what that gave us as far as like flexibility in the future to cover a big game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it's probably time to like start
building up a
calendar,
backlog.
You know, going and like getting like the record sessions scheduled and
yes, for
making
sure.
time for stuff. As far as release goes, I don't know if we'll stick to like the second of every month. Maybe. I kind of like the first if we're doing monthly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would like to shoot for monthly. I'm not going to hold myself to it necessarily, but having like a recurring like release on this scheduled thing does keep me on track. So I'm going to aim for that. If it becomes unattainable and we have to deliver late, that might just happen though. So yeah.
All right.
That's all.
How do we typically end this?
I like guessing. Thank you for listening. I don't know. Actually, I gave up. I don't know how we end these.
Didn't we just say like goodbye?
Goodbye.
Oh, goodbye.